Don't stab! Don't dive in! Don't get beat! What's up everyone? Coach Silas Sham here from Absolute Soccer Strategic Player Development, and welcome back to another episode of TAC Tuesday, our weekly look at either a technical or tactical element of the game of soccer. This week we're going to look at defensive posture and defensive approach, how we can close down space without diving in, stabbing, and getting beat on the outside every time. For some of the players who have been asking, how come I keep getting beat when someone's running at me with pace? What do I do? This is what we're going to look at today. So let's take a look at some pro examples of how we can approach the ball, some good examples, and some things of what not to do. Let's take a look, let's dive in. So in this first example, take a look at the positioning and also the aggressiveness of Luiz on that stab at midfield. Look at all the room that it created for Rondon. This is a great angle here. Take a look. As David Luiz sees the space that Rondon's in, he starts making a move towards him quickly and aggressively. But look at the stance here. The stance is completely flat and it gives Rondon both directions he can go. Notice the amount of space Luiz is actually covering. Again, he's closing down quickly, but look, he only covers the space behind him in a small area, and then ends up stabbing, which doesn't help his case at all either. Rondon quickly turns him and is off to the races, down the wing. Now I will say, look at the recovery run from Azpilicueta. Unbelievable, best defender in the Premier League, in my opinion. And he did fantastic here to cut off the angle. Take a look at what he's doing. As Dave catches up to Rondon, he knows Rondon has to shoot far post because Courtois has the near side covered. So this means that Dave doesn't go for a slide tackle or anything super aggressive, but instead just delays, forces Rondon down the side, and makes him shoot off his own foot for a goal kick. Unbelievable defense, great effort to even catch him in the first place, but not so great for David Luiz in this case. In this next example, you're also going to see the same kind of rash and uncontrolled defensive posture and approach from the Seattle right back. Look there, dives in without really covering any ground, and also the midfielder who's covering doesn't close down nearly well enough. Great goal, crosser shot, doesn't matter, still counts. As we take a look in slow motion, look at number 9. That's the right back, and she sees the ball carrier and immediately goes straight without even really checking what's behind her or where her player is. In this position, again, she's not really covering anything. She's not close enough to cut off the passing lanes and also isn't in a position to really make a tackle. So she's just kind of lost. Now just because 9 stabbed doesn't mean that the center midfielder isn't responsible for the goal as well. She does a good thing and calls the center back to stay in the middle, but now she needs to close down the space that the ball carrier has, and here she just doesn't do so. She doesn't actually influence the attacker at all, doesn't force the attacker down the line at all, doesn't really get in the way to be able to make a block or make a play on it, and overall just doesn't really influence the play at all. So in this case we had 2 defenders who just both failed at their task in terms of approach and in terms of how they could even use their body shape to do something productive on the defensive end. In this next example, we have some good things and also some things that we want to avoid. Here, look at 16 at the bottom of our screen. She does a great job of delaying and also cutting off the passing lanes, but then gets done in by the nutmeg. This, however, in slow motion, number 20 at the bottom of the screen now, just dove in completely without really doing anything productive at all. Very poor defense. Let's look at that again. First, notice the defensive posture 20 takes up. She doesn't cut off the passing lane, she doesn't force down the line, she doesn't delay at all. Instead, she just dives in rashly, and that just doesn't really work well in this defensive situation. It doesn't help the team. It actually sets them up for further failure. Now, if the ball that was played to the orange player was better and wasn't behind them, I'm sure that it would have been a better chance. But now let's look at some good examples from this game of what defense could and should look like. In the same game, Orange, Houston, they get a chance. And watch the delay and also the approach of this player here. She assesses, and in previous examples, we've seen the defender go charging in, but that doesn't happen here. She doesn't stab, she doesn't dive in, and she also isn't flat-footed, and instead angles herself so that she can force the attacker down the line while cutting off passing lanes. Look here. She delays and buys time for her team to get back in shape while cutting off the pass to the other attacker, and then eventually makes a deflection on the play, and the ball gets cycled around and she gains possession. She starts the attack right here. Unlike some of the other bad examples we've seen already today, look at this example. We have a defender go out and close down an attacker without rushing in or stabbing, and also is doing it in such a way that they're forcing the attacker away from their support network, their other players, and down the line into pressure. Then we have a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. She reacts to the great big touch from the attacking team and wins the ball cleanly, slows it down, and plays it to her own team. This is great defense, and it just shows how two simple things, body posture and defensive approach, can make such a big difference. Alright, so there you have it, an introduction video on defensive posture and defensive approach. Now this by no means covers everything you need to know on defense. It doesn't cover tackling, but we'll do that kind of stuff in session. For some of you who were asking this past week, I kept getting beat during my games this past week. How should I stand, or what can I do to be better? Well, first of all, let's make sure we're standing correctly. Let's angle ourselves. We don't want to be flat, but let's angle ourselves and force to the off foot, force out of bounds, force away from goal. Also, when I'm playing defense, am I just running and then trying to win the ball in a low percentage chance? Again, that play is going to work maybe 1 out of 10 times, but the other times, they're going to go right past us. Can we delay, make them have a big touch, and then step in when they make that mistake and win the ball cleanly there? That's how we want to start approaching defending and be good defenders going forward. So, this is Coach Silas Sham from Absolute Soccer, Strategic Player Development, and this was TAC Tuesday, number 5, Defensive Posture, Defensive Approach. We'll see you guys on the field, and let's see you soon. Let's get training.